coming fast!
Right, let's turn this down a bit. So I've finished the spraying, I've left it for a few days now, I'm coming back to reassembly. For now I'm not going to spray the bezels, just going to leave them as is. But one thing I can't ignore is if you come to this bracket, this basically holds the Speedo and the tacho from the back. And as you can see, it takes a little rubber bush thing. Now I've looked at the microfiches on Fowlers, etc., and you can still get this part, these little rubber things. I'm missing 4 of them, but they cost about £14 each, and you do the math, 4 times 14, yeah, it's not really worth getting new ones. So what I'm going to do, you could call it a bit of a bodge, but ultimately the purpose of that is to stop vibration from the back, because the tachometer and the speedo are held inside that. So what I am going to do is I've cut these 4 little strips of rubber, and I'm going to use this heavy duty spray adhesive to basically stick those onto there, and yeah, that should do the job because it will dampen the vibration. In fact, this rubber one is pretty brittle anyway. Like, I think I was cleaning this with degreaser because there was so much dust, and I think one of them was still there, and it basically just dissolved because it had 30 years of, you know, dust, heat, whatever, and that chemical just, it didn't react well to that. So I just have one left. I'll leave that one on and I'll do the rest in foam, and then we'll get back to reassembly. Added 4 foam pieces, as you can see. So yeah, there's that old rubber one, and these are the foam pieces. The good thing about this is I'll leave it to cure, then I can just trim the foam pieces if they're too big, and the foam is roughly the same thickness as that rubber thing. And hopefully the type of rubber, the type of foam I got said on the listing, it doesn't degrade over time or with heat or chemicals, so hopefully this should last. So yeah. So yeah, I've finished assembling the whole thing. I've put it together, I've attached it to the top yoke, which is where it goes. And yeah, apart from these gauges, especially this one where it's got the filler on it, and that cushion is really dirty and I can't seem to clean it, but the rest of it, like this whole outline used to be all rusty, this whole mount all the way around. Then the foam, obviously I made this new foam piece, and you could see the rusty panel behind over here. All these 2 arms that connect to the yoke used to be really rusty and dusty, so it's looking really nice now. So here we go. I like turning it on, the battery, that's with the lights. I've got LED lights in there now, so LED there, T5, T5. There's a T5 in there as well, but the placement for the RGV, I don't know if you know this, but you only get 1 bulb, and it goes in right at the bottom here, so the top bit is not very illuminated, whereas the other ones they're decent. Like, you get a bulb in the top there and the bottom's not that illuminated. On this one it's the other way around. The best one is this one, you get it completely illuminate the whole thing. But let's just turn the light off, let's show you what it looks like at night. So yeah, that's, see, that one looks decent, that one's alright, that one's not very bright at all, because it would be better if they had another LED at the top. Now I could, like, you know, drill a hole, retrofit it and all that shit, but really can't be bothered. I think it looks decent enough. So yeah, the LEDs are nice and white. So yeah, I put this LED thingy light as well, what do you call it, running light, so it's pretty bright, a lot brighter than the regular one. and this is the full beam. So like so. Oh, nearly tripped over paddock stands, but yeah. So that looks like a really good little project that I did. Took me basically 3 days to spray. So you need some good weather, and you need obviously 24 hours to cure it once you've etch primered it and once you've put the top coat on. And then I wet sanded it a tiny bit just to get rid of the rough surface on the front section around here and everything. But yeah, once you do that, that looks pretty nice now. Yeah, I'm not sure whether I'm gonna drill, like not drill obviously, but just poke holes over there and there, because there is an M4 thread behind that, and you can get the screws for about £3 each, which would make it full factory look, like as in stock look, let's say. But I'm fine how it is. The only thing is this gauge is perfect, this one is worn, and this one is the worst. So if I can, I might find the color code for that and then take them apart one day and just respray the bezel. I've got some previous work that I've done with etch primer and tough black, so let's bring it into the light. So this is basically the little heel plate that goes on the right side in front of the master cylinder. So as you can see, that's the kind of finish I got. It's slightly textured like that, but that's, I wet sanded it and went with another top coat, and after the wet sand it was smooth like glass. But basically you could see where I'd gone through layers, and it looked kind of not as good as I wanted, even though it felt really good. So I went with another top coat, and now that looks pretty good. Like, it's not stock, it's different, but it's smooth enough. It's not got any reactions or any like chips or anything. It seems strong, so I reckon I'll stay with this, so that's alright. Then we got, I just used alloy wheel silver for this one. Basically this was the gear shift linkage thing. It's been extended by someone in the past around the back. I think to weld it they just took all the paint off, and then they kind of painted it very rudimentarily, and you could see like drips coming from this side, which leads me to believe they painted it by hand, which is pretty weird. So it was rusting through and everything, so I basically stripped it down, and I went with the etch primer and then the alloy wheel silver, which looks pretty nice. I've got a new shift rubber on the way, which is, I'm just going to plop on that, and then this will be finished as well, and we can stick it back on. So yeah, apart from that, we have the plastic sprocket cover. Basically on the VJ21 models, the sprocket cover and the stator cover is all in one, so I sprayed that with some etch primer. I know that there's no reaction with the etch primer, but basically it was suitable for plastic and I didn't have any other primers at the time. So let's get this out, see if I can juggle it with one hand. So here it is. So I'll probably put a before picture up as well. It looks 100 times better than before. I mean, you can see there's little chips and stuff, but it's plastic. It had scratches in it, like this whole bottom edge was filled with scratches. There was like grease all over it. To degrease this was pretty tough as well. So the back side is not sprayed, but the whole front is sprayed. It looks really nice. This was, I don't know, maybe it reacted differently because it's plastic, so I went with the top coat and then I wet sanded it, and after the wet sand it just looked much better and really smooth. When I first sprayed it there were little particles and stuff because I was spraying near the grass, and yeah, it was really rough, but if it focuses you can see it's very, very nice and smooth now. So I just left it like that. I didn't go with another top coat. So yeah, it's not bad. There's a bit of texture there in the corners where I couldn't reach, but all this main section, it's more than presentable enough. It looks nice and modern rather than the discolored plastic that it was before. Then we've got the little oil cover line at the bottom. That was also done in tough black with some etch primer as a base. So it's got a bit of texture as well. It's not bad, but it's going on the underside of the bike. It's just like the little bling trim stuff that's going underneath. No one's really going to see it, but you know, it will protect it for a bit, and you know, when you're working on the bike without fairings, it'll look alright. So just received this shift rubber, which I'm going to put on the freshly painted shift lever, you could say. However, before I do that, if you look at it closely, you can see it's got quite a lot of rough edges and stuff. I might just go over this with some fine sandpaper to kind of get rid of that. I mean, once you start riding, this will all come off, but you know, I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so let's just go. So as you can see, I've removed the ridges, or most of them, if this one wants to focus. So there's the cast parting lines, and you can see all that little line, that wall has gone. So yeah, I just used the pliers to yank them out, and I went with some 800 grit sandpaper and just you know, sort of sanded that down. That should be good enough, I reckon. So now we're just gonna slide this onto the new shift, or brand new looking shift lever. This part facing the engine, this part facing up. That looks good, if you ask me.